Nabasa ko, uwi na ako.
No more follow-up questions, sir. Hindi pwede yun. Mhm. Okay. Sir, sandali picture muna. So, ibig sabihin, love nyo kami, sir. Okay, good morning. Welcome to our weekly Kapihan sa Senado. And our guest for today is former Senate President, former Labor and Justice Secretary. Let us all welcome Senate Minority Floor Leader Franklin Drilon. Hi, sir. Magandang umaga.
Yeah. Good morning. And thank you for inviting me here. With a heavy heart, I accept. Anyway, I'll make a few statements so that I will cover everything, so that after I read my statement, I can really go. No more questions. Okay, first, the President has no choice but to veto the questionable items in the budget, particularly the 75 billion pesos worth of pork barrel funds, which was illegally inserted into the budget after both houses ratified the bicameral conference committee report. I repeat, the President has no choice but to veto. Why? Because the certification of Senate President Soto is clearly limited only to those items which were approved in the bicameral conference committee and ratified by both houses of Congress. In effect, and very clearly, the certification of Senate President Soto denies the legality and approval of the 75 billion pesos worth of realignments. There is a decided case in the Supreme Court on this point. This is not just an opinion that we'll render, but a decided case involving the late Senator Joker Arroyo, when he filed a case in the Supreme Court, and which case was decided on August 14, 1997. In the ruling, the court said that the enrolled bill doctrine, meaning the printed copy, is in fact a rule of evidence which rests on the consideration that the President only has the authority to approve a bill validly passed by Congress. And therefore, the President's signature, as well as the attestations by the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, serve as a solemn assurance that the measure was indeed passed by Congress. I will repeat. The Supreme Court ruled that the enrolled bill doctrine is a rule of evidence which rests on the consideration that the President only has the authority to approve a bill validly passed by Congress. And therefore, the President's signature, as well as the attestations of the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House, serve as an assurance that the measure was indeed validly passed by Congress. Now, what did Senator Soto do in his signature? He said that the Senate President has made very serious reservations because of the fact that the insertions were made in the enrolled bill after the bill was ratified after the bicameral conference committee report was ratified by both houses of Congress. Therefore, the Senate President did not attest as to the valid passage of 75 billion pesos worth of insertions. And therefore, the President has no choice but to veto, because Senator Soto, the Senate President, said that portion of the bill was not validly passed. And if it was not validly passed, it could not be signed into law as a whole, because in the case of the Appropriations Committee, Appropriations Bill, the President can exercise the so-called line item veto. That power is not available to the President on other bills, but on the Appropriations Bill, the so-called line item veto, or the power of the President to approve items in the veto, is available. And Senator Soto said those items totaling 75 billion were not passed by both houses of Congress, and therefore there is no attestation that the 75 billion did indeed go through the process that could enable the President to sign the bill in toto. And therefore, it is my view that the President has no choice but to exercise his line item veto, not because of anything, but because of what the House of Representatives did. All right? Now.
Sir, question?
Yes.
You said that the President has no choice but to veto. Do you think that is the reason why House of Representatives has many allegations or accusations against the Senate?
No, I don't think so. It is. I'm just stating a legal conclusion based on the decision of the Supreme Court, and a factual conclusion based on the attestation of Senator Soto. In other words, the signature of Senator Soto made an exception on this 75 billion. In other words, if the only item in the budget would be the 75 billion insertions, Senator Soto can validly refuse to sign the bill because it did not pass through Congress. But in this particular case, since it is included as part of the General Appropriations Bill, the Senator Soto, the Senate President, invited or brought this to the attention of the President and said the President may wish to consider exercising his authority on the line item veto.
But sir, in a letter sent to Executive Secretary Miguel Dea, Andaya said a traditional omnibus motion was included in the BICAM budget report, which allows the correction of typo, grammatical, and printing error, as well as necessary adjustment.
That is correct, as well as necessary adjustments. Why? Because when the bicameral conference committee would make realignments, they would realign from item 1 to item 2. And in the BICAM, you just approve item 2. You leave to the technical committee, or to the technical committee, deletion of item 1. So that is why the adjustment has to be made. I repeat. All right, just so you'll understand. There are, say, 3 items in the budget. Item A, item B, item C. All right. In the course of the BICAM, all right, item D was added. Let's say item A is 10 million, item B is 10 million, item C is 10 million. Suddenly, item D was added to state 10 million. All right? The Congress cannot increase the budget. So what does it do? It has to remove 110 million from items A, B, and C. All right? But you have to determine which of the item A, B, and C will be deleted or adjusted in order to fund item D. Because in that example, the budget is pegged at, let's say, 30 million, and Congress cannot increase it to 40 million by adding item D. Now, when you add item D, you must reduce item any or part of items A, B, and C. That is what is meant by that certification. That's why it says, the last phrase is very important. It says, as well,
necessary adjustment.
But the necessary adjustment is a consequence of including item D in that example. You have to adjust A, B, C. Because if you not adjust items A, B, and C, and you include D, the budget becomes 40 million, and you are not allowed to increase the president's budget. And therefore, you have to make adjustments. That is the meaning, and that has been the implementation of that reservation, that qualification in the BICAM report. It cannot be. It cannot be interpreted that suddenly you insert and you realign items in the budget. No.
So is it right for Andaya to say that realignments after the ratification of BICAM report were authorized?
But not in the manner that they did it. Not in the manner that they did it. Okay?
Sir, si Andaya also said that Senate is liable of sabotage dahil daw po dun sa ginawa niyong you decided to unilaterally cut the allocations sa ilang mga build projects and priority programs of the administration. What can you say on that?
That's an insult to the administration. Does Congressman Andaya mean that build is based on pork barrel? That the build cannot be implemented without the pork barrel? I don't think so.
And then he's also keep on challenging Senate leadership to identify yung proponent po ng mga individual realignments dito sa Senate.
I have identified mine in a, if you recall, if you look at the records of the Senate, I have identified by amendments. So yes, I join Congressman Andaya. I have always been transparent, and in the records of the Senate, I stated what are the proposed realignments that I made, and this was approved in the BICAM and approved in the in the BICAM report and ratified by the Senate. So but yes, I have itemized. I have been transparent.
So should other senators na nag-introduce
that is I don't want to comment on that.
Okay, Laila.
Nagkakapihan na nga ako, gusto mo pa akong ipitin. Matanda na ako sa ganyan. Hindi mo na ako, sige.
Sir, you said the President has no choice but to veto the 75
Legally,
billion.
yes.
Will he be liable if
No,
he doesn't veto?
There is no liability because the power to veto is a power of the President under the Constitution.
It's not an impeachable offense.
Jesus Christ. What kind of questions do you have? Impeachable offense? Of course not. He is not violating anything.
So, sir, to end all of these issues and allegations, dapat po ba immediately pirmahan na ni Presidente itong 2019 budget? To end all of these issues?
Well, I think he's going to sign it shortly. So, yes.
Any other related questions about the budget? Cecil?
Sir, di ba hindi naman nag-increase yung Congress? Di ba parang 3.757 billion yung
The problem is, the problem is the items were erased and realigned after the approval.
So it wasn't parang tinama, kumbaga nag-create ng panibagong project.
Yes.
And that is a violation of.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you, sir.
Okay, Laila, follow up.
Sir, if the President has no liability, what would encourage him to veto the 75
Well,
billion?
he is a lawyer. He has legal advisors. If he approves the items which were not included in the BICAM report ratified, the release of these funds can be questioned in the courts. Okay?
Sir, other issue?
Sure.
So there is a video wherein certain Bicoy who claimed he was member of a drug syndicate claimed that presidential son, Pulong Duterte, was included dun sa TARA. All he's a person who received kickback from drug lords. Anong dapat hong maging action dito? The mere fact na dininay ito ni Pulong Duterte, the mere
You
fact
know, being a former Justice Secretary and being a lawyer, I do not want to pass judgment on the guilt or innocence of anyone unless I have the opportunity to examine the evidence at hand. However, the allegations made in the video are very serious. Allegedly, there are documents, there's evidence, and certain names were mentioned, including that of former Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte and Undersecretary Walden Carpio. Mr. Paulo Duterte has also revealed names, including a certain JS. Mr. Duterte is convinced that a certain JS is behind the video. Sino ba si JS? May ebidensya ba or dokumento ba si JS? Hence, it is best that the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee resume its investigation in order that those named in the video, particularly Mr. Duterte and Undersecretary Carpio, can clear their names so that there is a forum by which this can be discussed, and if these allegations are invented as asserted by Mr. Duterte, the Senate Blue Ribbon investigation will provide him that opportunity to disprove all of these allegations, which to him are invented and unfounded.
Sir, do you have any concern na baka sabihin, opposition na naman yung behind this video? Kagaya po do kay Asierto na sinabing
We are
opposition.
giving, to me, the Blue Ribbon investigation will give Mr. Duterte an opportunity to explain and dispute the allegations in the video. Otherwise, this video will keep on going around social media, and there is no opportunity to for Mr. Duterte to debunk this allegation and disprove these statements.
So sir, dun sa reopening ng Senate inquiry, dapat humarap yung si Bicoy.
That is a matter. Yes, we should exert every effort. I mean, I'm sure that that matter is best determined by the chair of the Blue Ribbon Committees, Mr. Senator Dick Gordon, who is a lawyer of note, and he would know how to dig into the evidence as he has done in the other investigations of the Blue Ribbon.
Any related question? Sir, on the order of the President to review all government contracts, the mere fact na yung DOJ at OSG yung task to review, can we expect transparent, serious, and honest-to-goodness review of all government contracts?
We should, and but to me, I support the proposition that this contract should be reviewed. But I put caution on the fact that there are contracts which are existing, duly executed, and we should exercise care and in labeling these contracts as onerous because the faith of the other parties in the ability of the government to honor its obligations, it's at stake. In other words, mag-iingat tayo dahilan sa ito'y kontratang pinasukan ng pamahalaan at kung mayroong pagkukulang, dapat baguhin if the through renegotiation. If not, you can go to court and have it revised. That is allowed. But we should be conscious that we cannot promulgate a rule that could be interpreted as a breach of an obligation under the contract that's prohibited under the Constitution, but also on the prestige, on the what's this? On the prestige of, not prestige, but on the reliability of the government in signing contracts should also be considered, because we cannot just arbitrarily claim that the contract is onerous and terminate it. Mahirap yun.
Sir,
But
sige.
I am in favor of reviewing these contracts.
Sir-
And especially if it is found to be grossly disadvantageous to the government, file a case in the Ombudsman, because that's a violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act.
Sir, DFA Secretary Locsin said that the government could just ignore any onerous provision even if the contract has been signed. Is that correct?
Well, of course, that's sovereign power. He can ignore, you can ignore. But there are consequences. For example, just as an example, there are, it is accepted that there are a number of loan agreements. Now, if the government will just ignore repayment in one loan because it is allegedly onerous, without doing without following the process. Yes, we can do that. We can ignore that loan and not pay, but there are consequences, like a cross default provision, which means that a default in contract A will trigger a default in contract B, C, D, E. Now, we must be careful. I will repeat, yes, we can ignore, but there are consequences, which may not be good for us.
Sir, he even said that even if the other party like China sued and won in arbitration, no Philippine court will recognize it.
Again, even
If the other party like China magkaso at manalo sa arbitration, wala naman daw Philippine court na re-recognize noon.
Okay, good. But I agree. If the Philippine court will not recognize that award, fine. But but China can declare that all the loans are due and demandable because of the cross default provision. So we'll require the Philippines to pay the balance of all the other loans. So again, I will repeat, yes, Secretary Locsin is correct. We may just ignore it. And since it is not enforceable in our system, as it has not been recognized by the Philippine courts, there is nothing to prevent China in that particular case from invoking the so-called cross default. Meaning that in that example, they can now assert that all the balances in all the other loans are due and demandable, and therefore require payment.
Sir, anong dapat i-prioritize dun sa pag-review ng contracts? Yung bang mga loan agreements with China at yung agreement with water concessionaire, considering na may water crisis?
I mean, the rule should cover every contract if that is the call of the president. And I said, you know, we support that call for a review of the contracts. Remember that in the past, President Aquino rescinded the contract on the North Rail. And yes, we said that the North Rail was onerous. North Rail contract was onerous. It violated our laws. Former Secretary Harry Roque was part of the study group in the UP Law Center. They recommended the rescission of the contract, and the president, after that President Aquino, did rescind the contract. We I think we paid, as a consequence, certain amounts on the basis of quantum merit, meaning we paid for what was already done. I think also in the same case in the dredging of the Laguna de Bay, we said, okay, this is grossly disadvantageous, and therefore we rescinded.
And related question about the review of government contracts. Sir, other issue on the increasing number of Chinese vessels around Scarborough Shoal. Ano po to? Is it something alarming, and what should be done by our government?
To me, I believe that we should file a protest, and Secretary Locsin says he has filed a protest, which is important because the continued assertion of our right over that territory is critical to our continuous claim over the Panatag shores. And prescription, okay. Remember that in today's diplomatic practices, the ability of a country to provide economic assistance is an effective tool of diplomacy. Hindi na po yung you invade one territory, but you extend loans. And remember that extension of loans is part of foreign policy. It is also the foreign policy of China that we extend these loans to countries in need. But remember that a foreign policy is always to the advantage of the nation which would promulgate that foreign policy. And therefore, the extension of loans, which is a part of the foreign policy, is certainly to the benefit of China. Therefore, we should be on guard that, using these loans now to continuously assert China's domination over the West Philippine Sea should be guarded, should be viewed with caution, because and in this particular case, we should file a protest, as Secretary Locsin said he has done, because the failure to file a protest may be interpreted as part of a general acquiescence to the occupation of China over the disputed territory.
So, sir, is Senate inquiry warranted para malaman ano yung real situation sa area at ano yung ginagawa ng ating gobyerno? No need.
No need. I think it's sufficiently expressed in the public forum. But what is important is that a formal protest is filed, as it is. The Secretary Locsin said a formal protest has been filed because the protest signifies our country's formal objection to the legality of the acts committed, and will indicate that we have no intention of abandoning our claims.
Sir, acceptable ba yun? Yung BFAR, they advise our Filipino fishermen to avoid fishing dun sa Panatag Shoal instead of defending the rights of our yung mga Filipino fishermen.
I want to read the statement of BFAR. I'm not very familiar with that.
Any related question? Other issue na tayo. Okay, sir, di ba recently the Supreme Court directed the government to release yung list po ng mga debts na connected po doon sa Oplan Tokhang. I remember during the Senate hearing, kayo po yung nag-request yata noon to...
Yes, the after operations report is very important because that is done immediately after the operations. I don't know what is the length of time allowed, but what I know is that an after operations report is immediately filed. It contains the names of the law enforcement officers who were involved in the operations, the names of the victims, the circumstances under which an encounter took place. And therefore, this is a document describing the events almost simultaneously as the operation took place. And therefore, it has a high probative value. We, realizing this, we initially, in the early stages of the hearings in the Senate, we asked for this after operations report of the incidents reported. It was initially submitted to the Secretariat of the Blue Ribbon, the documents that we requested. Unfortunately, after 24 hours, the report of the Secretariat is that the PNP sent a representative to physically retrieve these documents, and therefore the documents are no longer in the possession of the Senate as we talk. But the Supreme Court has required the submission of these documents, and this is a very important step because it is the first document that the victims of this drug war can look to for purposes of identifying those who were part of the operations.
So once submitted, dapat bang i-reopen uli ng Senate yung inquiry on the EG case, extrajudicial case?
Well, we should. I don't want to jump into that. Let's look at the after operations report as submitted to the Supreme Court, and the committee should make a judgment as to whether or not we should continue, we should reopen the investigation.
Sir, President Duterte recently said that the problem in illegal drugs in our country getting worse. So dahil po dun sabi ni Senate President Soto, when Senate resumes on May, you will try to approve daw yung death penalty against a high-level drug trafficker. So tingin niyo may chance na ma-approve na yung
I
proposal?
don't know. The chance is the legislative agenda is under the control of the majority and the minority leader. But I will continue to take the position that there is no causal connection between the proliferation of drugs and the imposition of the death penalty. I still firmly believe that it is a question, effective enforcement of the law and an effective justice system is a deterrent to the commission of these offenses rather than the reimposition of the death penalty. In other words, we can reimpose the death penalty, but if we do not have an effective justice system, nobody will get penalized anyway.
Pero considering composition pa rin ngayon ng Senate, may chance ba na makalusot yung reimposition ng death penalty, sir?
There are 24 republics in the Senate, and I cannot predict what each republic will say on the death penalty.
Okay. Sir, on politics, yung sa Ocho Derecho, sinasabi dalawa lang daw yung may chance na manalo dun sa senatorial candidates ng opposition. Do you think so, sir? Or maaga pa to say that?
Isang buwan ba't kalahati? Marami pang mangyayari. Tingnan natin. Pagdating ng after 30 days, let's see what happens.
Pero dun sa mga survey, sir, dalawa lang, Senator Bam and Mar Rojas, ang pumapasok?
If I conduct a survey in the Senate media, I think there'll be more than 2.
Sir, sabi ni Senator Lacson, he is hoping na marami pa ring manalo na taga-opposition para madagdagan daw yung minority dahil naawa na siya at nag-iisa kayo nakikipagdebate sa plenary.
No, we will examine whether, kahit ako na lang mag-isa, we will continue to perform our task of seeing to it that only those in the interest of the public, only those laws in the interest of the public would receive the approval of the Senate.
Okay. Sandro.
Sorry? Naka? Oh, ginigipit ng admin. Well, I
Kampanya.
don't really know. I can. Those are factual conclusions which I am not in a position to confirm or deny.
Okay, Nympha.
I call on the Department of Labor and the Bureau of Immigration to perform their jobs. There are enough laws on this point. But if the implementers are not performing their jobs, you can have 5 volumes of laws on migrant workers, and you will not be able to do anything. There is to me, the number of workers in the POGO business is an indication that the law is not being enforced.
Sir, the mere fact na yung Chinese ambassador ay nagsabi na hindi nila kinukonsinti yung illegal entry and employment
Yes.
ng kanilang mga national, dapat ba sila mismo yung mag-discourage sa mga Chinese national na nag-ooperate ng online gaming dito na wag nilang kunin illegally yung kanilang mga national?
Yes.
Mhm.
That statement is in order. That the POGO operators here should observe our laws by not illegally recruiting these workers to go into the operations without appropriate working permits.
May liability ba yung DOLE and immigration? Bakit nakakapasok illegally at nakakapag-employ illegally dito yung mga Chinese?
If you can show that there was gross negligence or negligence on the part of these officials, you can file a case in the Ombudsman.
Okay, Nympha, follow up.
Asa?
Cashier, kahera daw.
Yes, they cannot, under the existing laws, they cannot do that without with working permit being issued. And a condition of the work permit issued by the Department of Labor is that there are no available skills domestically. So that's basic. Are there no Filipinos who can perform the job of a cashier? Obviously, the answer is yes. There are thousands of Filipinos who can do cashiering jobs. So why is it being given to aliens? Yes. Random roundup. No, they must randomly check the work permits of these workers, alien workers. So there can be random examination.
Sir, hindi ka indication din na palpak o may loopholes yung umiiral nating policy kaya madalis silang nakakapasok dito illegally?
No, I think it's a question of enforcement because pumapasok dito as tourists, to my understanding. You can enforce the laws by not allowing those holding tourist visas to get employed.
Or dahil sobrang mabait yung administrasyon sa China?
Anyway, next question.
Oh, Sandra and then Nympha. And then Jojo.
Mga Pinoy pwedeng pa-police or pa-arrest? Yung, pwede ba yun, sir?
No.
Kunwari po yung Pilipino, tapos ay, hindi ka naman marunong bakit ganyan ang trabaho?
Mayroon naman tayong mga law enforcement authorities. You'll have, if you extend that principle of warrantless arrest for any citizen to arrest a migrant worker on the allegation that he has no work permit, you'll have chaos. Away lang abutan mo dyan.
Kasi minsan, sir, feeling namin wala na kami sa Pilipinas, parang inchik na nasa paligid namin sa mga grocery, kung saan ka pumunta. Nympha?
Again.
Sir, pa-clarify lang po, kailangan sir baguhin yung policy na pag tourist silang pumunta, hindi sila pwedeng bigyan ng work permit when they are here as tourists.
A tourist, one holding a tourist visa is not supposed to be gainfully employed in our country. Because he's here on a tourist visa, so he's supposed to look at Rizal Monument and Intramuros,
Kasi yun
not go to the MOA area and operate
Online gaming.
online gaming. He is a tourist, and tourist is not supposed to seek gainful employment.
At limited yung stay nila dito, sir, di ba? As
Unlimited,
tourists.
no?
Mhm.
Sir, yun yung admission sir nung hearing na they come here as tourists and then pag nandito na po sila, saka sila nakakakuha ng AEP.
I do not know they have. If that is the admission, then we really the enforcement is really questionable, because pag landing nila tourist sila, paglabas nila sa immigration may working visa sila. Hindi naman siguro ganun. Huh? They come in as tourists. After a few days, they end up working. Now, while they are working, they are violating our laws.
At ang penalty sa kanila, deportation.
Deportation.
Mhm. Okay, Jojo, follow up.
Sir, related dun sa question din, nirebel nga sa Senate na tourist silang dadating and then binibigyan sila ng special working permit. And then, yung pagbibigay kaya ng ganun policy, isa kaya yun sa condition ng loan agreement between China?
Hindi kasama yan.
Hindi kasama.
Nothing to do with that. But precisely, they should not be given a work permit without the Department of Labor favorably endorsing the issuance of a work permit, and a work permit can only be issued, among others, where there is a finding that there is no available skill for that particular employment.
Okay, Cecil.
May minention pa kasi na parang yung Chinese business people trust Chinese people themselves. So, parang it's a matter of trust kung sino yung gusto nilang
Trust and confidence is not a standard in denying or allowing a work permit. It is the availability or non-availability of Filipino skills.
Paano po kaya natin mape-pressure yung BI and DOLE to make it parang to act more para matapos na itong problema natin?
We have sufficient remedies under the law. The Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act is there, and they can be made liable under that law.
Sir, kung may illegal Chinese worker, mukhang meron ding illegal Chinese dredging vessel na nasa Lobo, Batangas. Ano bang dapat gawin? Wala ba yung permit to dredge?
That's a disputed, that's a factual issue. The entity which brought in the dredging ship says we have the permit, so ano pa sila dyan. They say we must establish the facts. Yes, but there is an issue there.
Kasi yung DNR yata, sinasabing binawi ba yung permit nila?
Yeah, okay.
At sinuspend.
Kung sinuspend, then they have no right to continuously dredge. But when they came here, presumably there was a valid dredging permit, and then I do not know. It's factual.
So may dapat din paliwanag doon yung local official ng Lobo, Batangas?
Dapat tingnan lahat kung ano ang how they ended up with that dredging operator in Lobo.
Lobo, Batangas. So while investigating the facts, hindi pa muna pwedeng paalisin, sir?
I think they suspended the dredging operations.
Okay, any follow-up question? Laila? Myla? Wala na? Okay, Nympha.
Sir, ano yung batas na nababiolate na dun sa pagbibigay ng alien employment permit sa Chinese coming here as tourists? Anong particular law is being violated, sir?
Anong particular law? I cannot cite it, but there is a law. Because an alien is not qualified to work unless through a valid working visa. I think it's in the immigration laws and in the labor code.
Okay, Sandra.
Sir, kanino kayo nakukulangan, sir, specifically sa BI, DOLE, yung enforcement ng laws against dito sa mga Chinese
Both.
workers?
Sir, are you not actively campaigning for the LP senatorial candidates?
Actively, meaning, what does actively campaigning? Well, I do, I have endorsed over the radio candidates of the Liberal Party.
So you're not joining their campaign?
Because the campaigning today has changed from the time I first came to the Senate and campaigned in 1995. Today, social media, television, radio are the more effective avenues of campaigning rather than political rallies. And a political rally is only effective insofar as it is a media event. Without media coverage, how many people can you make hakot in a political meeting? 1,000, 2,000? You need how many million votes? So the value for money of having a political rally as distinguished from a TV, radio ad is so obvious. So this going around and dancing and singing in the political rally is a thing of the past. But I have, upon the request of certain candidates, I have made endorsements on the radio and on television, and particularly in my area in Western Visayas.
Okay. So, excited ka na bang makatrabaho ulit si Senator Rojas dito sa Senate?
Excited. Sige, next question. Excitement, I only respond to factual information.
Factual naman, sir, yun
Factual. Sige, next question.
So you're leaving for Doha, Qatar, sir?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Senate is under the focal point in the Interparliamentary Union, and unfortunately, nobody would want to attend.
So wala kang kasama, sir?
So ako lang mag-isa, after 4 days, balik naman ako rito. Magkikita na naman tayo. Sige.
Sir, pwede mo naman kami isama dyan sa biyahe mo.
Wala nga gustong sumama. Doha hindi ko alam kung bakit. But of course, sige, mamaya alis tayo.
Okay. Mayan.
Sir, isang question lang. Meron pong survey yung SWS. Ang sabi po, yung mga Pinoy daw, ang hinahanap na, mga Pinoy na botante, ang hinahanap nila ngayon, yung mga kandidato na hindi na corrupt.
Yes.
Sabi po ni Senator Ping Lacson, marami sa mga kumakandidato, tumatakbo kasi may nakukuha pong kickback, lalo na sa mga government projects.
What's your question?
May ganun pa po bang kandidato sa ngayon?
You ask Senator Lacson. Senator Lacson was the one who asserted it. Bakit naman ako papasagot mo niyan?
Sir, wala ka ba kagaya ng kay Senator Ping na may tip siya? Sino yung mga hindi niya iboboto?
Wala akong ganung tip. Ano? Ay, hindi ba? Under our system, secret ballot?
Pero sir, automatic ba yung 8 diretso lahat iboboto
Hindi ba
mo?
secret ballot?
Pero as opposition leader, yung 8 diretso dapat kasama sa iboboto
Kahit
mo.
sabihin ko sa inyo, hindi, maniniwala ba kayo dyan?
Na hindi mo iboboto 8 diretso?
Hindi kayo maniniwala kasi opposition ako, and therefore, the expectation is that I vote for everybody. That is the expectation.
So tama ba yung expectation na yun, sir?
The sanctity of the ballot is very important in our system. Next question.
Sir, don't you think na baka pagka sinabi mo yung 12, maka-encourage ka pa ng boboto sa kanila?
Pag sinabi mo 12, 8 lang ang kandidato namin. Paano 12 na yan? Saan mo?
Pero
sunod yung tanong, dahil 8 lang ang kandidato nyo, sino yung 4 na isasama mo?
Pero
matagal na ako nakaupo rito eh, kaya alam ko na yung mga sagot tanong niyo eh. Oh.
Pero sa ini-endorse nyo yung 8
Next
na...
time, next question. Oh.
Yun nga, sir, in-endorse nyo yung 8?
Uwi na ako, sige. Bakit? Why, my freedom of speech dito ah. In the same manner that you can ask any question, I can also make any answer. It's up to you to consider my answer. No, but I'm just kidding. Yes, of course, I'm supporting the 8 Diretso.
Okay.
That should settle everything. Oh.
No more? Baka ma-late si sir
Okay.
sa kanyang flight. With that, thank you very much, Senate Minority Floor Leader Franklin Drilon.
Okay, sige. Kain na muna kayo ng mamon. No?
Kain muna kayo. Ano gusto niyo?
No, I'll go. No.
Kinasal.
Oh, sige. Just a little. Oh, sige, I'll join you there. Basta wala nang tanong, ha?